Okay, we're calling the meeting to order of the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School District School Committee. In your packets, it's 6:04. In your packets, you should have meeting minutes dated June 1st, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to accept those meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, changes you'd like made? Okay, seeing none. I'm not going to do a roll call voting. This is great.
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye. 600.
Gosh, it's been so long, I couldn't remember that.
Okay.
That's just the only way you could. I forgot you couldn't do it that way.
More articles. I didn't see an email from you. Oh,
They're here.
we're here in person. Correspondence.
So I just want to go over some clarifying COVID-19 guidance that we received. We had a phone call with the commissioner last Wednesday. And in the meeting with the phone Zoom with the commissioner, he stated that masks were not required for summer school. About a day later, Governor Baker put out something that was kind of contradictory. So he sent out clarifying guidance on Monday, and this is what we are going to be following because we do follow DESE mask guidance. So it was for the remainder of the school year, masking indoors and maintaining other health and safety guidance as issued by DESE is required. The school year is now over, so we can look at what we can do for our summer programs. Masking indoors and maintaining other health and safety guidance is not required, but is encouraged. The DESE summer guidance is in alignment with the state guidance encouraging unvaccinated individuals to continue to mask. The DPH mask advisory, if you go to the commissioner's website, you can actually click on the mask advisory, it pops up. That unvaccinated residents should continue wearing masks in indoor settings when they can't socially distance. So again, it's an advisory. The good news was, I know, Jonathan, you've been looking for this for a while. He did come out and say that for the fall at this time, they are not expecting any mask wearing in the fall and that all physical distancing is going to be lifted. They're going to keep an eye on it over the summer with the DPH, but that he anticipates in the fall, no mask wearing. So for our summer school, we will encourage anybody who is not vaccinated to continue to mask, but it is simply an advisory at this point. So, and if you are vaccinated, you do not need to wear a mask.
Any questions? Good. It's time for our first public comment. See people in the audience in person. Public comment. Okay, see none. Now, student advisory report. Welcome. If you could do a little introduction about yourself.
I'm Nat. It's nice to see everyone in person. I'm so good at matching names to faces. I haven't really been here before, but I just finished my junior year. Pretty excited about my senior year. Everyone in my senior class is pretty excited too. We're all excited to get back to normal. We're really excited about pep rally and student council. We talked about that, but overall pretty excited. Everybody had a good school year. It was like good for what we can get. I know a lot of schools like didn't go back, so it was just really great for all of us to come back when we could. I know like in person, me and all my friends would have so much fun, like going on mask breaks and seeing each other. On the last 2 days, we did cornhole on mask breaks. We would have lunchtime outside, and it was really nice. So hopefully next year we can get a little more outside time because it really helped broke up the day. Mask breaks actually really helped us engage in our learning. In most classes, it was structured. We would teach, we would learn the lesson for the day, go on a mask break, and then apply that to what we learned. I honestly love mask breaks. I think everybody did because it just broke up the day and it just engaged us more. in the classroom time. I know like we need a certain amount of time in school, but if we could implement some time for that.
I'm learning.
I don't know.
It was worth a shot.
No, but I thank you for saying that because we're getting a lot of feedback from teachers
We
and
all
students
love
about the
mask
mask rates. So,
But if somehow we can get those in there, that would be really good. So for the last few days at SRS, we did a school-wide book read. In the March and April meetings, I talked about how I was invited with a few other sample students just to read the book and have some discussions about it. We all read this as a book. We had it playing over the sound systems in the rooms, and everybody read it together in every class. And we had discussion questions that went along with it. Students are able to record what we were reading and kind of took notes. It's kind of like a summer work assignment. We're gonna go back to it in the fall, reflect on what we learned. The book was Don't Ask Me Where I'm From by Jennifer D. Leon. And it just had a lot of important messages and lessons that we could talk about in the fall. So last meeting, I mentioned senior week and it went really well. The drive-by was really nice. It was Chief Bishop's last hurrah. I don't know if anybody saw the fence, student council, we did that. I know he was happy about that. There were a few pictures going around. I was able to help at the senior award ceremony and at graduation. It was so nice just seeing everybody in person without masks, like a good function, we all came back together. It was a great way to just start the end of the year. Just everybody's kind of excited for summer. I mean, it was a long year, but everyone's excited to get back into fall. That concludes my report, and I have to leave for my soccer game. So I was varsity captain.
yeah, you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Good luck.
Thanks for
doing that.
It's nice to see you in
Nice to
person.
see you.
It's behind me.
Baseball, boys still winning?
I think so. It was 10-2 when I left.
Okay, it was 7-1 when I left.
I,
So I'll
I
take
think they
10-2.
have a good shot this year. They really do. I think they're gonna go far.
Good.
Do you want me to take this? Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, up next we have educational presentations. I'd like to invite Principal Momoh to talk about some job description.
Sit it.
It was better when Annette was remote to follow her in person. She's wonderful. She's fantastic, and we're very fortunate. We've been fortunate over the last few years to have some great student leaders here partake in this opportunity. And Annette, once again, did not let me down. She's wonderful. So what I have is job descriptions for our school counselors, our director of school counseling, and adjustment counselors. The previous job description, this is about 18-month process that we've embarked on to get to this point. It's been an 18-month process. And the reason for this is the previous job descriptions were outdated in outlining the responsibilities, the services, and the structure that the counseling department was under. I've finished my 8th year, and over this time, we've moved from 4 school counselors and having no adjustment counselors to now having 4 school counselors and 2 adjustment counselors. So even the structure and the delivery of services have changed over the last few years. And so what we did is we looked at our previous job descriptions, or I guess you could say the current job description we have now for these roles. We compared it to what other schools had. But ultimately, the direction and what we have down on paper now came from Bob Bardwell, who was a former counselor here in Southwick, and he is now the president of MASCA, which is the Mass School Association of Counselors. And he provided us some wonderful templates and resources and research around best practices to guide us in developing these 3 job descriptions. And not to go through each bullet, but essentially the shifts from the old job descriptions to the new job descriptions are around the design and delivery of our counseling services, around data collection, the transitions between and within the building. Again, we were a 9 through 12 school. We have become a 7 through 12 school. So we have that transition of 6th to 7th grade, and then 8th to 9th, and then ultimately the transition from 12th into higher ed or the workforce or the military. So it's looking at those transitions as well. And lastly, updating how we communicate with families and outside agencies. That has all changed drastically over the recent years from our previous job descriptions. So once that was developed, these were developed, guidance, or the school counselors, they're no longer called guidance counselors. School counselors were able to review the job descriptions. Mrs. Coviello, as a guidance director or the school counseling director, reviewed that as well. We worked with our own school union leadership. We worked with Mr. Paul Ryan, who is the local
MTA rep.
for the local teachers union out here, and the school's attorney, Mr. Dupre, helped us as well in finalizing these, and everyone agreed on what we have in place in all three job descriptions, and I believe you have a copy of those in front of you right now.
Joe, did I hear you correctly that we currently have 4 school counselors and 2 adjustment counselors? Is that correct?
That is correct. 3 are at the high school level, 3 school counselors at the high school level, 1 school counselor at the middle school level, 1 adjustment counselor that is primarily at the high school level, and 1 adjustment counselor is primarily middle school. There is a little bit of a shift next year, given that the number of the caseload for our adjustment counselors, the 9 through 12 counselor versus the 7 and 8 counselor, there was maybe a 25 to 35 person student caseload discrepancy. So we shifted the numbers to have a more balance. So Ms. Dion will be a 7-8 and primarily a 9th grade counselor, and Mrs. Lukensky will be 10, 11, 12, and she may have a few 9th graders in there as well, but it's a more balanced caseload for the adjustment counselors.
Now, the director of school counseling, that is an additional position, or is that one of the 4 school counselors?
That is one of the 4 school counselors. So it's a good question. One that I think will come up in contract negotiations next year to finalize how we do the school counseling director position. It is currently an Appendix B position, and Appendix B positions are primarily after school opportunities and services that teachers provide the students. This director of school counseling needs that opportunity to do the work during the day and after school as well. And as an administrator, I use that person during the day as much as I use her after school as well. So it is a stipend position through the Appendix B, but it is considered one of the school counselors. She has a reduced count. She has a reduced caseload as well from the
like
other 2.
25% less or something.
Correct.
In here.
Correct.
Now, all of the current employees, all 6 of them, have seen this new job description.
Yeah, we had multiple discussions over the last 18 months with them, taking their feedback and their input to get to this point.
It was teacher-led, union, UVA-led.
And these are part of the union?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any questions on the job descriptions? Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Jamal, thank you. What we have you here.
I have a question, Joe, while I have you.
Sure.
I'm just curious, I would have asked our student representative, but I know she had to leave. I was just curious about feedback about the book reads that you had. And first of all, I want to say thank you for the email that you sent to parents with the discussion questions, because it was nice as a parent to know that there was structured learning happening in the last week of school. And it was nice to see, what the discussion questions were. So thank you for that communication. And I'm just curious, you know, if you had feedback from students, from teachers, about how that went.
Yeah, we have had feedback. So every teacher was given a copy of the questions as well. And they could engage in the questions in the process to the degree which they felt comfortable presenting the information in the topic. So a number of teachers felt comfortable in it, and there were class-led discussions around the questions, and some teachers took the feedback from the students of what they liked about the process of this type of summer read. What were some of the advantages and what were some of the barriers? And so we got feedback from a number of teachers that dipsticked the students' feelings around how we did the summer read this year. A lot of the students felt it was very positive. Some of them wished they had the book in front of them so they could follow along. An hour at a time was maybe 15 minutes too long for some of them as well to process it. So there were some structural things that we can do a little differently if we were to engage in something like this moving forward. The teachers thought it went well. The students were engaged in listening. They thought it was a productive way to utilize the time to close out the school year. Students were reflecting in their journals, you know, after every hour that we did it. So from the students and the teacher standpoint, it was I think a positive experience. There's some things that we can do differently and add to the process or adjust to the process. Again, if you were going to do something like this moving forward, but overall, I'm pleased with how we utilized this time in the book read over the last 4 days here.
Yeah, can I just piggyback on that? So and it goes to the school committee's, you know, guidance and leadership as well, because it was probably about almost a year ago. I was looking in the minutes today, I think it was June 18th, where you actually took the vote as the school committee and challenged our schools to, you took the anti-racism resolution. And I know there was a lot of questions about, you know, why were we doing this? Where was it coming from? And it was really at the school committee anti-racism resolution. It was whereas the district will incorporate into their curriculum the history of racial oppression and works by Black authors and works from diverse perspectives. And whereas we as the school district leaders can no longer remain silent on the issues of racism and the hate that continue to plague our public and private institutions, and resolve that the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School District must guarantee that racist practices are eradicated and diversity, equity, and inclusion is embedded in practice for our students, our families, our faculty, and staff. So this started a year ago, and even probably a little bit before that, due to some situations that we had in our district that we would have to discuss. But a lot of the work really stems from your leadership as the school committee to take this anti-racism resolution. And I applaud Mr. Trammell for, you know, hearing this and, you know, really being thoughtful and in his approach with the teachers and with the students, and working slowly. I would say go slow to go fast, but really being thoughtful about it and, you know, doing a lot of research ahead of time before we just put a book into the hands of the kids. So I think it starts with your leadership and it carries down into the building administrative leadership. So
was there, did you get any sort of comments from parents, anybody concerned about the way that this was rolled out?
I did not receive any comments, any negative comments. I did receive 2 positive emails, no negative emails at the district level.
What about you, Mr. Trammell?
I received the same 2 positives and 7 to 9, 7 to 10 emails from parents, not concerned about the process, but concerned about
The book.
the book.
The content.
So I know that from what I'm hearing, you guys spent a tremendous amount of time
Oh, yeah.
vetting this book, trying to make sure that this was appropriate, that was right. I guess speaking from my perspective, the only thing I would want to, I guess, make a comment on is that the email that went out, which again, I thought it was great that we got an email, but the email went out at almost 2:00 Monday afternoon, indicating for the first time that I was aware of that we were going to do this. And it was indicating that the book was going to be read to the students on Wednesday. Certainly, I actually had a chance to read the book over the weekend or listen to it over the weekend. Some of the subject matter that's in there could certainly be considered politically charged and looked at from obviously a number of different points of view. Do we think that, I guess, in the spirit of transparency or even a little bit of a heads up to the parents, if we spent a long time looking at this, do we think it might have been more appropriate to give parents more than 30 hours before this was going to actually be read to the students?
For what
Maybe.
purpose?
To have the ability to take a look at the book, to see what was going on. I mean, from a summer reading perspective, I guess I was a little shocked that it was being done during class time and not during the summer. It was the only book that was going to be read. After reading the book, if given the option of looking at that, I think I certainly wouldn't oppose my kids listening to it. But I think with everything that's going on with a lot of these subject matters, there might be parents out there might be concerned. And I don't know whether 30 hours is an appropriate time frame to give them the ability to make that decision for their children. Where I know historically, at least for my kids at the high school, whenever they've been thinking about, or if it's in the syllabus, is they're going to be listening or watching any sort of movie in the class that has any sort of challenging subject matter, there's a sheet that goes home and indicating to the parents that the movie's going to be shown. And if they have concerns about that, they have the choice of opting out or not having their student watch the movie. Obviously, informing parents on a Monday afternoon that we're doing this on a Wednesday doesn't really give them that opportunity.
So sure, that's feedback that I can take and consider and think about if we were going to do something like this again. The reason that I felt comfortable sending out on a Monday for a Wednesday is that while there are sensitive topics in the book, the purpose of sending out the questions to the parents were so they could see that we were being transparent, that we were not talking about those sensitive topics, that we were not making this book about politics. And so that's why it was a very conscious decision to make sure that the timing of sending that email out also included the questions to the parents so they could see it. We had, again, maybe 5 to 7, 8 students opt out. We had an alternative book that the students could do. Wasn't an issue, wasn't a problem for that to happen. And the reason that this is the summer read and the reason we did this in the manner was from the direction of the student focus group. Their direction and their advice to myself and Mrs. Shorter and Mr. Pescatelli was, if you want all students to hear this and hear the message, it needs to be done in this way. Because if it's just done in how we've done summer reading in the past, then all the students will not get this message. And we felt it was an important message for students to hear about inclusion.
And I applaud you for listening to the students' voices as well. I think the more we can empower them in their school, the better future leaders that we're going to have in this world, that they need to have a voice. It is their school. I applaud you on that.
So could I have sent it out earlier? And is that a valid point? Absolutely. I've listened to all the parents call about their concerns. I've learned something from each and every one of the calls, positive or frustrated about the choice. And moving forward, we will make sure we implement all the changes and the concerns that people have moving forward.
I think it was, I appreciated having the email, and I appreciated having the questions. And I truly appreciated the conversations that were happening in a controlled manner. And that, you know, my kids weren't sitting watching movies all day long for an entire week.
So
And the
was it
last
all
week
the
of
grades
school.
at the high school?
This book was chosen for students in grades 8 through 11. To Mr. Stevenson's point about the content and some of the language, and the recommendation of the appropriate age level, we didn't feel that the 7th graders were ready for the language or some of the content, and so we chose another book for the 7th graders with questions that were provided to the parents as well, and they listened to it in the same structure as the students in grades 8 through 11.
So I think just to echo Rob's point, I think the communication is certainly something we can improve on, and giving that more time, because there's certainly for some parents, they may not have seen that, or even, you know, you're talking about 30 hours of time. There's plenty of people that never saw that communication, never had a chance to. Would you have the chance to, if you wanted to as a parent, get that book, read that book, digest that book before your kids are reading it? I think that's certainly a valid concern.
But do we do that with every English book that they read? No, you know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
they read lots and lots of books throughout the school year, and that's.
And I don't want
That's
to, and
not-
I absolutely don't want to stop them from reading what they want to read. If they want to read whatever they want to read, that's fine. I just think we have, when we give them one choice for a group of 6 grades or 5 grades or whatever it is, I think that warrants the parents having a little more input as to what you're being reading. There's topics in there that I'm sure there's some things I agree with and some things that I disagree. And that's totally fine. But we have to be able to find a way to respect both sides of that opinion, and not accept it that there are things in there that no one can disagree with.
More time could also just continue the discussion at home if you got a chance to read it. Like, I don't know, did you get to read it, discuss it with your kids?
Myself, my kids are in 7th grade, so they read it.
Oh, never mind.
But I am in the, I've listened to portions of it, and I absolutely will read the book, and I did read all the discussion questions as well. But no, I mean, I think that's fair, but I think that the purpose, going solely on the discussion questions, the purpose was to hear both sides, not to say this one way of thinking is the right way of thinking. The questions were very thought-provoking questions. The questions were very debate-provoking questions. And that was really the purpose.
Yeah,
The
then there
purpose
should
is
be great, there
discourse.
should be, hopefully, I mean, that's what it's about, right?
Right.
Fantastic dialogue with students and sharing different ideas. And I just think that, like we said, and we'll improve it next time, that opportunity to give the parents the time to digest those things would have probably made that a little bit easier. And maybe instead of 9, you'd had 6, I don't know. But, just there's always room for improvement, something we do. And I, like Pam said, it is better that they're, usually the last couple of weeks are at least when I went to school, we're watching movies, but
Was good.
but there's always room for improvement. So that's just my 2 cents.
And I did have a chance to read it. And it was interesting because I I read the questions but then I wanted to read the book. And it does actually present both sides of it when you read the book. Did you get a chance to read it?
I haven't, no.
So it's actually a really good read. And I know, Rob, you read it too, but it does present all sides around an issue, and it doesn't come up with a resolution at any point of the book. It just does present both sides. So everybody feels validated in what they're saying. It's just simply to offer the perspective. And I learned things while reading this. I learned about the Latinx, and I learned about the Spanish. And every time I read something, I learn more as an educator. And so
How we can improve our own MECO program here.
That's absolutely, well, that's what when I saw that, and I said, wow, there's so much relevance
Parallel.
here. And then the pieces that I listened to with the students of different viewpoints having discussions and debates, I was like, wow, I can totally picture that happening in a classroom. I mean, it just seems very real. It seems like an excellent book choice.
It's available on Kindle. I read it this week.
I have a highlighted copy right here if you want to go through my highlighted one.
Thought provoking.
Yeah, I mean, I just say for the feedback that I got from anybody was there were concerns about what was in the book, but I think the greater concern was just not having time to digest what was. And again, that may be a very small number of people, but we have to listen to who talks to us. So.
Right.
It's a fair feedback.
Mhm.
I will absolutely take that and moving forward,
Thank you.
absolutely put that in place as we continue to do.
And this was the first time, to my knowledge, that you guys have done something like this. I think it's an excellent way to go about the process. And you're right, we never get everything perfect the first time, tweak it as we go.
But I'm going to ask everybody to come up with their 6-word autobiography. It's going to be my new goal next year, so. Oh. From the book, pretty powerful. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I read it again.
Okay.
Take the whole box.
There's brownies too that Mrs. Hool made. Yellow is peanut butter and green is Snickers. Milky Way, sorry. Milky Way. All right, moving on to policies. Tonight is our third and final meeting of IMG, Animals in Schools. We will be voting on this evening. This is our last chance.
I love the small horses.
I just can't wait for the first one to come.
Any questions, comments, changes? All right, moving on to action items. We have a long list of stuff.
I missed, there they are. I like this at home. I could just read it nice and clearly. Move to approve changes to the 2021-2022 Woodland School Handbook recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the Woodland School Handbook? I just want to make a comment. I appreciate the schools all collaborating afterwards and getting all the little secrecies cleaned up.
Somewhere in here now, I can't remember. Oh, something about dropping off, and if you get out of your car, you need to wear a mask, but we did it at the end of the school year.
I think she took everything with
Yeah,
masks off.
she took that out. I did double
I was gonna
check.
say, I
that.
tried-
That's a
I-
good question.
Thought I read it, but maybe I was reading. the
Yeah,
wrong
no,
part.
it's highlighted and it says now remove
Oh,
or wait
okay.
for guidance.
I was like, wait a minute, we didn't have to at the end of the school year.
Any more questions on movement? Those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the changes to the 2021-2022 Powder Mill School Handbook recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Nope, you're
any
good.
questions on Potter Mill? Okay, all those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the changes to the 2021-2022 Southwick Regional School Handbook recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the regional school?
This document I have is the wrong.
This is
We
the
have
correct
The
one.
one in the packets is. the correct
Yes,
document.
that's the
I'm
one that we had in
sorry.
our email,
Yeah,
but this one is more,
yeah.
well, no, there's just this
Informative?
whole section.
More informative.
Yeah, about the safety and wellness section.
It's good enough. Okay, all those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the revocable land use license agreement between the town of Southwick and the American Legion, Southwick Post number 338, with consent of the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School District for the one-year term, July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the land use document? Okay, all those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Robin Gunn, Director of Student Services, for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this contract? Seeing none.
We
all
don't
those
pull
in-
that up.
That's right, yeah.
No, I mean. It's down the screen, public. Is that being shared?
Yeah.
Okay.
Corner.
No, what he's asking is, do they see the contract or do they see us? That's what he's asking.
Oh,
They can see they're allowed to see the comment.
Mhm.
Okay, I just couldn't remember.
I believe these all go on the website.
they eventually make it
Okay.
to the website.
It's been a while.
That one's secret. The other ones
Yeah,
are.
right.
Any questions on this contract? All those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Momoh Kamara, Computer Network Technician, for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this contract? Just make the addition of the Juneteenth.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Jared Maple, Computer Network Technician, for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Lori Tenkati, Computer Network Technician, for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? In favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and John Grimaldi, Director of Technology, for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
No questions on that contract? All those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Shannon Cavanaugh, Board Certified Behavior Analyst, for the period July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this contract? Okay, all those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve the agreement between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Amber Hall, Instructional Coach, for the period July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this contract? Those in favor? 6-0-0.
Move to approve MOAs between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee and Singleton Contract Employees for Juneteenth holiday. Move to accept the memorandum of agreements between the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School District and the employees listed below to amend the benefits package A to incorporate Juneteenth, recommended. Lisa Bousquet, Payroll Specialist. Jessica Cody, Accounts Payable Specialist. Sherry Curran, PMS Assistant Principal. Erin Fahey Carrier, Principal. Beth Grady, STEM Instructional Specialist. Michelle Grisey, School District Accountant. Annie Larkham, Human Resource Data Specialist. Amy McLaughlin, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent. Christopher Parent, Network Administrator. Mike Pescatelli, SRS Assistant Principal. Stephen J. Presnell, Director of Finance and Operations. Dave Sanchagrin, Athletic Director. Kimberly J. Sasso, Woodland School Principal. Serena Shorter, SRS Assistant Principal. Jenny L. Sullivan, Director of Curriculum Instruction. Ben Taglieri, Instructional Technology Specialist. Joseph P. Trammell, Principal. Eric Wykander, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds. Jennifer Willard, Superintendent of Schools, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on these MOAs? So there are individual MOAs which each of these, we're doing it all in one lump sum. Questions? Yeah, all those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the revised policy IMG, animals in school, recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any question on the animal policy? All those in favor? 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Maria Seddon. In recognition of 2 years of excellence as a school committee member, we hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick-Tolland-Granville Regional Schools, and a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. 6-0.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 2022 class T-shirt sales to benefit the class of 2022. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Who's it for?
Any questions? All those in favor?
For these all individually.
6-0.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 2022 Valentine grams to benefit the class of 2022. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? We're smart, we're getting them now.
I really
You got it.
When I was reading them, I'm like, is this the same two advisors?
Well, that's, they know what they're doing.
All those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 22 fall car wash at Village Pizza Plaza to benefit the class of 2022. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Clearly, these advisors.
All those in favor?
I know.
So when they go to the Swiss Alps, you'll know why.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 22 summer house fundraiser to benefit the class of 2022. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 2023 Granville
Oh, there we
Harvest
go.
Fair bake sale to benefit the class of 2023. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this fundraiser? All those in favor? 6-0.
Move to approve the 21-22 fundraiser class of 2023 CYO Snack Shack at Southwick Rec Center to benefit the class of 2023. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Questions on this one? Those in favor? 6-0.
It's just.
We have a mistake.
Okay. Move to approve the 2021 fundraiser class of 2023 car wash to benefit the class of 2023. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
There's not a question. Oh, they say TBD on the location. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not
And
combining.
it's a different class.
Right.
All those in favor? 6-0. So what happens if we got past Z?
I was wondering that.
Like a spreadsheet.
I think you was a record. All right, moving on to reports. Up first is Superintendent Willard.
I just have to say thank you to all of you. I feel like we've become a family, meeting weekly, every week last summer, surviving COVID-19 pandemic together. I couldn't have done it without all of you, without your guidance, without your support. Our teachers, I truly feel went above and beyond this year when I look at what other school districts have done. And I was talking to somebody the other day about our model. Oh, it was actually Bill Sapelli. in Agawam, I'm the mayor, and I was just saying, how proud we were that we had K-4 in person 5 days a week from the beginning. And all of our students on IEPs and our ELL students were eligible to come in 5 days. And kudos to everybody who was able to get that accomplished, because it really only benefits our children. And that's what we're here for. So I just want to let you know that I personally went around, said thank you to all the teachers on Monday and Tuesday. We provided them with a staff breakfast on Friday for a thank you. And don't call the schools in the next few days, because I don't think there's going to be very many people working in the schools. So many people are, have to use all their days, and they're going to be closed down. So give us till after July 1st if you need to contact the schools. Our principals are getting some well-needed time off. They've been working weekends all summer and have had very little breaks. So they would get information from me on a Sunday and have it in place on a Monday. So we talk about quick turnaround time. They have been amazing. So I just want to thank the families at home. I personally thanked all of our children for being such spectacular, flexible learners, and that we'll all remember this year forever. So I hope to see us all in the fall with no masks, with no social distancing, and seeing school as normal again. And that's what I have. Well, thank you.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, moving on to the Director of Finance and Operations, Mr. President.
Yeah, no real report this evening, but I would echo Superintendent Willard's comments, especially on behalf of the ancillary service folks, the IT folks, the facilities people, food service. They all worked their butts off all year long, did some pretty amazing things and continue to do so. So kudos to them. The teachers and the students were fabulous, but a lot of that couldn't have been possible without the efforts of the folks behind the scenes in those ancillary units. The only other thing I wanted to mention, we do have the motocross parking event. You approved the district's involvement in the license agreement that the town has with the American Legion. July 10th, we're in discussions right now with the Dollars for Scholars organizations from both Southwick and the separate organization that covers Granville and Tolland, where they're looking to staff our campus for accommodating event parking on the 10th when the National Motocross event occurs here. So we are working on that, and hopefully we can put everything together in time so we have a good plan in place for the event. We're wrapping up this is that time of year where we're wrapping up 1 year, trying to put an end to FY22 or FY21, but actually starting to do a lot with FY22. So it's a busy time for us, but we're also trying to utilize some remaining vacation time, give people a chance to recover a little bit from a pretty challenging year. So we'll thank the committee for their support along the way. I think we engaged the finance subcommittee more than they've ever been engaged in the budget development process, and I think that worked well. So.
And how many budgets did you develop last year, Steve?
Well, there were a few iterations.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you to you both and Amy and everybody that hasn't gone unnoticed either, the work and time. You're not immune from what has been going on and the amount of time folks have been putting into stuff. So I know it's been hard, but certainly appreciate it. And none of it's been perfect as we want it to be, right? But we're still here.
We
Yes.
are.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Stephen? Okay, moving on to subcommittees and liaisons. Negotiations, do we have?
Yeah, we met with the para group, and that's ongoing. I think we have a meeting next week. We've gotten essentially the first foray across the net that we're looking at that, how that compares, sort of drawing up some numbers and see how that compares, some modeling, kind of good Excel stuff.
Finance?
There's been no finance.
We haven't met in a little while yet. Do you guys want to meet over the summer? Have a
I don't
couple of
see
sessions?
I don't see any reason.
We got to get the ESER stuff all written first,
Yeah.
and then they have to have input into that.
Yeah. So we may have a need to bring you together, maybe leaning more toward August. And we'd have some preliminary year-end final numbers.
LPVEC Board of Directors.
So we met last week. It was our final meeting of this school year. I'd say the most important part of that meeting was the educational presentation about the Safe and Supportive Schools grant that LPVE received. This is typically a multi-year grant in their first year of it. This year, it's a $10,000 grant. And they had to put together a Safe and Supportive Schools action plan. So they're focusing primarily on 3 levers. And I can just read to you the implementation goals, and that pretty much sums up the whole thing. So it's LPVEC's CTEC in collaboration with the Integrated Occupational Program. They're partnering effectively with families and community members to support the educational success of their children, provide students with a school culture that is safe and supportive and leverages diversity in order to improve learning in the classroom, and create student-centered, equitable, and unbiased policies, procedures, and protocols that are safe and supportive. And I have a multi-page document about how exactly they're going to go about doing it, who's responsible for what, but it is a very well thought out implementation plan. And then the other thing that I'm sure Steve
He had some family.
could speak to you about would be the dividend distribution to member districts that we received from transportation services that were not rendered. But you're good.
Okay. I can't, it's great.
Anything else for here? Okay, Board of Governors did meet and we reorganized, and I'm still the president of the collaborative.
Wait, have they tried to?
Yeah, we have a very, my team only meets quarterly, and it's a very short meeting. We went over the fiscal health of the corporation, reviewing assets. Just a couple of highlights that are noteworthy. As the lease comes to an end for the Southwick bus garage, they will be looking at doing some sort of consolidation, looking for property to consolidate Agawam and Southwick busing together. So they're trying to come up with some ideas and proposals. That'll go to both boards. The other thing, they showed pictures of the new special needs classroom that they finished. They're anticipating anywhere from 10 to 12 students for enrollment. It's pretty unique and diverse classroom where they have tons of sensory orientated seating arrangements and reading nooks and other things for
That's cool.
young folks that can't stay in a normal classroom.
Isn't that Woodland or?
It's it was K, wasn't it 1 to?
It's 1 to 4.
Yeah.
1
Yeah,
to 4.
very young.
Yeah. No kindergarten, not developmentally appropriate yet.
But these are outside placements,
Oh.
severe needs.
Just the question about so when the lease comes up on the garage, obviously that's still our piece of property. Was there an issue with a tank over there or something that we need to deal with? We
There's
still,
a below ground tank that we would be on the hook for to address.
we were probably always on the hook for it, right? I mean, but I don't remember how far off that was, or were we close on having to do something with that or not?
The lease
Well, I mean, the tank and fixing. it.
Tank this year, something
Just made me
happened,
think of it.
we would have been responsible. Next year, it would be a 50-50, and in the third year at least, if something happens to the tank, it's on them. They would have to fix it. So,
So we just don't deal with it till the third year.
That's right.
But they want, so they want out of the lease early then?
No, they're looking at their options to get it.
Okay. I just couldn't remember that detail.
The Ag One bus garage is too small. They can't take the full fleet there. Our garage isn't ideal for servicing full size buses, so there's all sorts of different nuances.
So even regardless of the fact that they're not going to be there, they've committed to fixing that. Is that what I understood?
I think their plan is to get out of here at the end of the lease.
mhm.
And what did you just say about the third year then?
So in the third year of our lease with them, if something should happen to the.
If something happens, okay,
Yeah,
that was the caveat.
So once the lease is complete, any issues with it would then revert back to us.
Got it, okay. I forgot the yes.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, and he would know best. I'm very familiar with Connecticut rules, but I believe that tank has to be tested annually.
Mhm.
It's a double wall tank system. It's got an interstitial sensor in it, so you know if you've got a problem.
We have to insure it.
So that's all I had for that. Policy, you guys have not met, right? Buildings and grounds, I tried to get something scheduled, but they were very busy getting ready for graduation, so that didn't happen. Any other liaisons have to report out?
I assume we're gonna reorg this at our next after town. So-
Yes.
We're voting now.
No.
Is it done yet?
No, won't finish until 8.
You're on the edge of your seat or?
I didn't really want to run.
I had a
If you
feeling
don't
if
want
you did, your
to,
name would end up in there
yeah.
somehow.
How does that work?
Right in.
What the heck, you please, write your name.
Why did everybody want me on this committee?
At this time, it's time for a second.
I've been over here for 20 years. Come on.
Seeing
God bless
none,
you.
committee discussion, old business. Should be under new business, right?
Is that new?
No.
What we were talking about.
Have you looked into that?
So,
Just kidding.
couple things. The town of Southwick and the Southwick members of the board will be getting together on July 26th.
A Monday.
Yes, so it'll be a joint session. I think we're usually up front. We'll get a packet from Amy with all the names that we can review in advance. We interview each of the individuals jointly between both boards, ask whatever questions, and then somebody will make a motion to make a recommendation to pick somebody out of much single person, whoever.
The one
Throws
person
the name in the ring. So that's how the process works. Admittedly, it's kind of awkward.
It's super.
Sounds it.
What's that?
Sounds very awkward.
It's very
We're
awkward,
all involved.
but it's the way that the agreements were. So
Now, are applications going to you?
we come into the district.
Say, how many do we have so far?
That is a super.
Received one today.
There's no specific deadline for that, is there?
Yeah, there is the
It has to
19th
be.
of July.
Okay.
Say it has to be before the meeting.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes we've had to go out a few times.
Yeah, I would have thought this one might be a little bit tougher because it's only gonna be a year and then you're gonna have to, so it's gonna be an interesting.
So with that, and because of the Tolland delay in their voting, we are going to have a regularly scheduled meeting on the 3rd.
I might already be it.
Okay,
I only have childcare on Tuesday, so that's why I'm pretty sure I'm working that day, but if they don't need me.
okay. So why don't you send a note out and let's validate that date? Because we can be pretty fluid on this.
And it's till 11 o'clock, so it's not even like I could be like, hey, I'm gonna pick up 4 hours. No one wants to, pick up 8 hours of my 12-hour shift.
Well, now that we're transitioning back to person, let's see what we can do here into summertime. So we got that going on. And the other thing that's not on here is we need to schedule a retreat.
Yeah.
I've asked Amy to use, there's some app, I can't remember the name of it.
Time.
Yeah, there's an app. She's gonna send us all a bunch of dates, and then we all pick the ones that we're gonna be in town, and she's gonna try to figure out which collides best. It'll be a joint meeting between us and the district administration, including the principals and the sped director. Obviously, no agenda set because we're reorganizing in August. So more to come on that, but we'll have to figure out a date. It's usually an all-day event. Ted's, we go up to the Tunxus Club up in Tolland. Usually a pretty cool day up there by the water.
Oh, you see, you want to come out.
That's if you get reelected.
You'll say, but don't worry about it, if you're not reelected.
Do you still have some pull there or?
No, I won't show any pity. Yeah.
Sorry, it's booked for the entire month of August.
Yes. Well, we, even as a member, I can't even get into play.
So
I'm
is-
pissed off and they don't even get it.
Last,
COVID thing.
oh, is that even an option for us?
Is it not open?
What's the date that you want to have?
We
that?
don't know.
Oh, you know,
Yeah.
but it's the end of
Have it
August. I'm not- By that time, oh, no, we're already storming the gates. And we now have a, what do we call it? It's like a pit, a fire pit. And the last 3 weekends, we have our dinners out there
Nice.
around the big bonfire. This guy,
That is.
he's from Finland.
Making note, if we do a breakout session, we want the fire.
We'll
We
be
can
outside.
sit outside by a fire pit, that's fine.
Well, it depends on the date that you pick because you want to make sure that the horse
Flies.
the
Oh,
Okay, so there's fly season.
no, we're not going there.
All right. Lastly, all joking aside, I just want to thank everybody. This has been a very trying, 18+ months. I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm sure we've made mistakes. I'm sure I made mistakes. It is what it is. We've gotten through this, and COVID is pretty much on the backside of us at this point. I want to thank my wife for making brownies and getting all this stuff pulled together. All I did was dial the number for Cavanaugh Pizza.
And thank you.
But I just want
Appreciate
to
that.
truly say thank you for everybody's support. We did a lot more meetings than we normally do and got a lot more feedback than we normally do. And we came out with it.
Had to do a lot of things that we never imagined you'd ever have to even think about.
The weekly Board of Health call every
Right.
Oh, that's right, the safety.
The safety meetings,
Every Friday.
you quickly forget these things.
Yeah.
Every
Let's
Friday.
hope that there's never,
Yes,
ever
absolutely.
any involvement about sports and whether to.
Or
Lord.
more.
Oh,
So
play now.
thank you all. I
Yeah.
appreciate this.
And thank you for letting me in this building. You don't know how much that was. Amy and I, we had a good walk.
With that, I'll entertain an emotion or a motion to adjourn.
The emoji to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?